Miguel's curse technique is here, and not only is he boxing up Sukuna with it and dodging dismantles like it's nothing, he is proving why he is a special grade caliber opponent and why he will actually be a key factor in defeating Sukuna right here, right now, with his amazing curse technique, Hakuna Lana. It is a phenomenal curse technique and I just cannot wait to talk about it, so let's get right into this. Be sure to leave a like here, helps out a ton, thank you, and of course if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJ content just like this. Less than 10% of people who actually watch my videos are subscribed, so if you love JJK, I promise you won't regret subscribing. And of course, thank you to the special grade members of the channel. It is always much appreciated. Let's get right into this. So with JJK chapter 255, we get Miguel actually taking on Sukuna and doing incredibly well with his new curse technique finally being revealed and showing us how he was able to contend with Gojo in JJK 0 and not die instantly and actually stall him for quite a decent amount of time. It all finally makes sense. So in this chapter, we see Miguel casually and easily dodging dozens of dismantle slashes flying at him, and not just one by one, he's getting multiple slashes flying at him at the same time and he's dodging them. As you can see on the page, it's like he's doing limbo moves. It's just that easy for him. And at first you may be thinking, wait, is Miguel just this broken that he can dodge dismantles this easily? And even though it is still a nerfed Ryomen Sukuna, do remember, even a nerfed Ryomen Sukuna was able to get some dismantles on other characters, so it's still impressive that he's able to dodge it, but it has to do with his curse technique. And we actually get Miguel's full name drop. I don't think we've ever heard his full name, at least not his second name, until this chapter. So his full name is Miguel Odula, and I'm probably mispronouncing his surname, sorry if I am, but his curse technique is called Hakuna Lana, also known as Exorcist Chant. And there's two different translations here. So one of the translations explains it as Miguel's curse technique helps his body to catch a rhythm, to dodge curses, and enhances his physical abilities, with another translation explaining it as the beats recorded in his body repel curses, enhancing the strengthening of his own physical abilities. It's basically saying the exact same thing in two different ways, so hopefully you get a good idea of it with two different translations explaining it. And then we actually get some characters talking about Miguel's curse technique in some more depth. They say Miguel's curse technique itself is like bringing improvements to himself and weaknesses to his enemy without even needing a domain. And they say it's quite useful but not that scary, you know, and it is true. Just by the definition of you're debuffing your opponents and buffing yourself, making yourself physically stronger and being able to repel curses, it doesn't sound that impressive, but at least Miguel, when he actually uses it, he is so strong that he actually has even more attack potency than Gojo, at least comparing them in terms of physical combat. He is that powerful with it, and also it debuffs his opponents to such an extent that he can actually compete with the strongest characters in the verse. So it sounds like a mediocre explanation, but it is quite an insanely powerful curse technique, to the point that it has actually caught Sukuna's eye, and he even says it's a highlight, showing us just how great this curse technique is. And do remember, when Gojo actually saw Miguel and with his 6 eyes he could see his curse technique, he comments in JJK 0, this opponent is troublesome. And some even more information. In the fan book, GEGE says Miguel is strong, just flat out. That's what we know about Miguel. He is strong. And we actually get some further info on Miguel. Sukuna says, after all, what's frightening is your body. That's because 99% of sorcerers are Japanese. What's most frightening about you, Miguel, is that you have a rare bone structure and muscle structure for Japan. I think he's saying compared to Japanese people. And furthermore, you can strengthen it with cursed energy, which is already a threat. And Gojo saying this is insanely crazy, I'm not gonna lie, and Miguel calls him out for it. You're labeling me. That's discrimination. There are black folks who don't work out. I'm not special because I'm black, I'm special because I'm me. So straight up calling out Gojo on his BS, and Gojo actually got hit with racism allegations after this chapter, which was hilarious to see all the jokes and memes fly out about, you know, Gojo being just like Geto, it making sense why him and Geto got along so well, which again, it was pretty insane for Gojo to say that, but I don't think he meant it in that sort of way. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because Miguel also gives it to him too when Gojo apologizes, and Miguel says, well, whatever. Still insane for Gojo to say that, I can't lie. And we get some further clarification on Miguel, as Yuta asks, would that be a threat to Gojo Sensei too? Gojo responds to Yuta, oh, that's right, you might not get it, but if Miguel and I were to compete in physical abilities without cursed technique, but only with cursed energy enhancement, if it's linear movement, I win, but when it comes to attack points, maybe I'll lose. Basically saying that Miguel is stronger than him in terms of physical strength, of course taking out the blue enhancement that Gojo has, where it makes every punch that Gojo hits someone with feel like it's a counter punch, which enhances his physical capabilities, the blue. But do remember that we saw back in Shibuya, even without the blue enhancing his physical punches, Gojo is so powerful physically that he is able to completely bully and rip apart the disaster curses just with his physical might. Remember back to every single feat Gojo had in Shibuya against the disaster curses, which was just physical feats, and Miguel can actually do that better. He is actually so powerful that he would rip apart someone like Jogo and even Haname with his bare hands. That's how strong he is. And we get to see this when he's actually fighting Sukuna, as he grabs one of his hands, moves it up, and punches him square in the stomach, with it actually doing a decent amount of damage as he proceeds to elbow him right after that. So again, this makes sense when you consider that he is currently nerfing a Sukuna who's already nerfed. Granted, his curse technique truly is incredible for fighting stronger opponents and even weaker opponents, because it's not like, oh, just because you're weaker, you're not gonna get a debuff. If someone's a lot weaker than him, then they're gonna get even weaker than they already were when Miguel activates his curse technique Exorcist Chant, also known by other translations Hakuna Lana, making them even weaker and of course making himself stronger. And what's even crazier is the definition of repelling curses, or with other translations saying dodge curses. What this means is that, as it says, he can actually just repel or dodge curse techniques. As we actually saw in this chapter, he was easily dodging the dismantles. And if he's able to dodge dismantles, which is insane by the way, I mean, the only other person that we've seen in the entire series to actually dodge dismantles is actually Maki. No other character can actually dodge them. Now we've seen Kusakabe can actually react to it using his simple domain, but he's not actually doing it with his own thinking. That's just his body and simple domain doing it automatically for him. He's not actually fast enough to parry or block a dismantle without using his simple domain and having his body move automatically, almost like he's an Ultra Instinct. Kusakabe's got Ultra Instinct confirmed, maybe? But Miguel is the only other character beside Maki who's able to actually dodge them. And again, Maki can do it because not only is she physically strong, but she does have precognition, so that really helps with dodging dismantles, and she can see them too. Miguel doesn't have any of that stuff. His body is simply repelling it. So what do you think this means if he fights other sorcerers who have techniques that can go at him? I mean, let's even say Momo, who's already so weak that Miguel barehanded could just actually slap away a wind attack from her, just like Uraume did, but he might not even need to do that. He could just stand still, and his curse technique, I mean, I guess as long as he has a rhythm going, it would actually just repel that attack for him. And how far does this go? I mean, because it's saying curses, what is the limit here of what it can't repel? And this could also make sense on how Miguel wasn't getting hit by blue and reds during JJK 0, because remember, yes, Gojo was having his curse technique affected by the black rope during JJK 0, however, he could still use the blue and red during JJK 0, as we saw. Even after getting hit by the black rope, he proceeded to literally fire off a red to one-shot a curse right after that. So then it brings into question, why didn't he just fire a red at Miguel just to get him done with, you know? You could argue that could have knocked him out. Well, his curse technique simply would have repelled it, at least by this definition, as long as he's got a rhythm going, or the bare minimum, it would allow him to dodge it if we're going by the other translation. So again, think about how insane this curse technique is. He's got physical buffs himself that make him stronger than Gojo physically, at least without the blue, which is insane. He's debuffing his opponent, so no matter how strong you are, even no matter how weak you are getting weaker and weaker as you fight him. And he can repel and dodge any curse techniques. It is an incredible curse technique, and especially in the hands of someone like Miguel, who's a physical beast. At least that's what Gojo said, and Miguel even says, I'm special because I'm me. He's literally saying, I am him, I am that guy, you know, which does make sense when you see in JJK 0, he's got godlike portrayal. I mean, JJK 0, at least the movie, is a litmus test for if people can actually scale. Yes, he was getting his ass beat by Gojo, but the fact that this is Gojo, who, mind you, could one-shot characters like Uraume, who's currently as strong as Hakari, and was able to make Hakari and Yuta puke with one punch. He was eating dozens and dozens of them like it was nothing. He was stalling the strongest sorcerer in the world for an extended period of time, and actually came out of the fight looking hyper clean after it. Even though he got his ass beat, considering who he's going up against, the fact that he survived and actually looked healthy after the fight, he didn't look that beat up at all, and was able to eat so much damage. That is an incredible upscale for him. Even though you would think, oh, doesn't that make Miguel look weak because he got beat up so much? No, it actually makes him look incredibly powerful, and it made him look so strong that I even had to question if it was even lore accurate, because JJK 0 was made as a prequel before JJK was even made. So I just chalked it up to, oh, GEGE actually made Gojo stronger when JJK started, so that's how someone like Miguel was able to stall him for that long. But no, given the definition we've got this chapter with his curse technique, it actually makes sense how he's able to do it, and it truly does put Miguel at an insane level of power. The fact that he was this powerful a year ago, I truly do believe Miguel is a special grade level opponent, and he's just a beast. I don't know what to say. He can do things that you need a domain, such as buffing yourself and debuffing opponents, without even a domain. His curse technique does that already for him, and man, I am glad to see him cook this chapter, and I pray to God that he does not die next chapter by Sukuna activating his malevolent shrine or opening his flames. If that happens, RIP Miguel, you had a great showing for that one chapter you in, but I'm praying GEGE doesn't kill you. But it's GEGE, so who knows. But hey, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like here, upside a ton, thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. Less than 10% of people who actually watch my videos are subscribed, so if you love JJK, I promise you won't regret subscribing. And of course, thank you to all the members of the channel, it is always much appreciated. But that's all from me. Have a great day everyone, and take care.